Okay, so let's get right into it. There's this new AI crypto token, Perle, that's PRL, and it has been making some absolutely insane moves on the charts. We're talking about a project with a huge AI narrative, some big backers, and just a ton of volatility. So what is actually going on with this thing? Let's break it all down.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of the kind of chaos we're talking about, in a single 24-hour window, this token swung by more than 130%. No, that is not a typo. It makes you stop and think, right? What on earth could possibly make an asset move that fast and that hard?
This quote I saw from an analyst really hits the nail on the head. It perfectly describes how Perle has been trading. It kind of sets the stage for this crypto mystery we're about to unravel. Is this the next massive AI token, or is it just a super high-risk game being played by a handful of people?
So, first up, let's buckle up and take a closer look at that wild roller coaster ride. We're going to unpack the crazy price action that got everyone's attention in the first place. So here's what happened. The token started the day sitting around 18 cents. Then it just took off like a rocket, all the way up to 42 cents. But after hitting that peak, it pulled back hard, down to about 26 cents. But here's the key part. Even after that massive drop, it was still up almost 50% for the day. That tells you that buyers were still interested even after the fireworks.
Okay, so that's what happened. Now we got to get into the why. To really get a handle on this volatility, we have to look past the price charts and dig into the project itself. So, what is Perle actually trying to build?
Well, the huge problem Perle says it's here to solve is something called model collapse. Just imagine making a photocopy of a photocopy. You know how each new copy gets a little bit fuzzier, a little worse? The exact same thing can happen when AI models learn from data created by other AIs. Over time, the quality just tanks, creating this feedback loop of errors. And for really important AI systems, that's a gigantic problem.
So, what's Perle's big idea? They're creating what they call a sovereign intelligence layer. Now, that's a fancy term, but what it really means is they're building a system for high-quality data that's been checked by real human experts. And the best part? It's all recorded on the blockchain. So for any piece of data, you can see exactly where it came from and who signed off on it, which creates a level of trust that's frankly missing in AI right now.
And we're not talking about AI that just makes funny pictures. No, this is for some seriously high-stakes stuff. Think about doctors verifying medical scans for an AI that helps with diagnosis, or lawyers double-checking contracts reviewed by a legal AI. These are fields where you simply cannot afford to be wrong, and that gives this project a really powerful real-world purpose.
Taking a quick peek at how the tokens are split up, it looks pretty standard. The biggest chunk goes to the community, which is always good to see, but investors and the team hold a combined chunk of almost 45%. The important thing to know, though, is that those insider tokens are locked up for a full year, and then they unlock slowly over 4 years. That's a big deal, because it's meant to stop them from just dumping all their tokens on the market early on.
Okay, so on one hand, we've got this really compelling story. But now it's time to put on our detective hats and look at the actual market data, because this, my friends, is where the plot really starts to thicken.
And here it is, the absolute heart of the mystery. Get this. The data shows that the top 10 wallets hold over 97% of all the Perle tokens. Let me say that again so it sinks in. 97%. Just imagine if 10 people own 97% of Apple stock. It means they have an unbelievable amount of power to move the price, way up and way down. This one fact is the key to understanding that crazy 130% price swing.
So this sets up this perfect showdown between the bulls and the bears. For the bulls, you've got this amazing AI story, you've got big exchange listings driving hype, and you've got a genuine real-world problem it's trying to solve. But the case for being cautious, the bear case, is just as strong. That insane holder concentration means a huge risk of manipulation. Plus, more tokens will be unlocked in the future, which could push the price down. It's a real tug-of-war.
So with all these conflicting signals, where in the world could the price actually go from here? Let's take a look at what some of the forecasters are predicting, and you're going to see that pretty much nobody agrees.
This chart really shows you just how massive the range of possibilities is. In a bad scenario, if all the hype just fizzles out, the price could crash back down to 10 cents. The middle-of-the-road guess has it climbing to around 45 cents, but in a super bullish, everything goes right scenario, some see a path all the way to $2. That's a 20 times difference between the worst and best case predictions. Talk about uncertainty.
And yeah, some analysts are incredibly bullish. Wallwood Investor, for example, flat out calls it an awesome long-term investment, and they're predicting a price over $2 within just 1 year. This just goes to show how much faith some people have in the core mission of the project, even with that risky market setup.
All right, let's bring it all home. What's the final takeaway here? When you boil it all down, what's the one thing you really need to understand about Perle?
It really all comes down to this one question, which CoinMarketCap phrased perfectly. Everything depends on whether the actual use of the platform can catch up to all the market hype. We need to see the data on the blockchain, the on-chain metrics, start to show that real companies are using this thing and that real people are earning tokens for their work. That's the only proof that will matter in the end.
So at the end of the day, this whole story is bigger than just Perle. This token basically represents the central battle happening in the AI crypto world right now. It's this epic clash between a powerful, fundamental story about solving a real AI problem versus the cold, hard reality of a market that's controlled by just a few massive players. Which side is going to win? Well, that is the billion-dollar question, isn't it?